This may very well be my last full day on here, so I'm honestly just gonna make content. So here's some words that you might hear magical practitioners call themselves in Polish. Keep in mind, I do not speak the language, so I may be likely to mispronounce them, but these are words that I see at least, people advertising themselves as such things. This video is primarily going to be just Polish words, but obviously there's going to be some variation in similar words in other Slavic languages. And this is of interest to me because my grandmother, who was my savta, was Polish Ashkenazim. Keep in mind, Polish is a gendered language, so some of these words are going to be the male variation. First is Zoroje. As I said, very likely to mispronounce. But Zoroje is kind of the general term. Like, that's most likely what you're going to hear people refer to themselves as, give or take specific practices and or how much they associate the word with fantastical elements. There is also the gushlarj, which is effectively a sorcerer or a conjurer, most associated with pre-Christian Slavic magics, and more along the folk magic side of things. In fact, within the Polish language edition of The Witcher, whenever you meet the person that in English is called the Peller, that is translated to gushlarj. There's also the znachor, sometimes just called znahor. Again, different pronunciations, and obviously that last bit there makes it sound like a funny word. More than likely, people are going to avoid using this term, but it also just does mean, like, folk magic healer. But it's generally avoided because in the modern context, it's effectively calling someone a quack, as in someone who is faking medical knowledge. But it is legitimately a historic term for such people. There is also shaman with a Z, and shamanka, which is its female equivalent. Now, this seems to be like a borrowed word, but it's the reference to roughly about the same thing, mostly in reference to Slavic tribal magic. There are obviously other words, but again, this is more of a generic title that some people might use. And of course, the varying opinions about the word shaman apply to this one. Mach, with a G. It effectively is a generic word for mage. It possibly has a lot more fantastical elements to it, but again, it's a generic word you might see some people use. Zorovnik, which effectively just means to cast spells. This one you might not hear a lot. Most commonly translated to sorcerer or warlock, and as you can imagine, it's often translated to warlock because it's extremely negative connotations. There is also Zaklinach, which is enchanter or charmer. Zaklina is also a fairly, uncommon but still seen Polish given name. Less likely, you might also hear Shigon or Shiga. This is mostly applied to the name of what is effectively a Polish demon, but there are some practices that apply it to humans who are magical practitioners that have gone bad. Effectively, the idea is that they have two hearts, two souls, two sets of teeth. There's a belief that they can transform into birds and owls, which I guess is a type of bird, but eh. But yeah, people will take a variety of these factors and other mythical implications of this demon and just claim the word as their own. Especially so if they had a accident where they came back to life at a young age. Now, keep in mind my pronunciations are likely very rough and probably somewhat wrong. And of course, these are, again, somewhat more generic in reference to doing magical practitioning. There are terms for like pagan priest and stuff, but meh. I'm avoiding that for reasons.